Hare Krishna, continuing from yesterday, so Srimad Bhagavatam 3:32, Daivi nasaditam tasya shamalam niraye pumana bhunte kutumba poshasya rutavitta ivataraha. Thus, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of kinsmen is put into a hellish condition to suffer for his sinful activities like a man who has lost his wealth. The example set herein is that the sinful person suffers just like a man who has lost his wealth. The human form of the body is achieved by the conditioned soul after many, many births and is a very valuable asset. Instead of utilizing this life to get liberation, if one uses it simply for the purpose of maintaining his so called family and therefore performs foolish and unauthorized action. Again, I read, if one uses it simply for the purpose of maintaining his so called family and therefore performs foolish and unauthorized action, he is compared to a man who has lost his wealth and who, upon losing it, laments. When wealth is lost, there is no use lamenting, but as long as there is wealth, one has to utilize it properly and thereby gain eternal profit. It may be argued that when a man leaves his money earned by sinful activities, he also leaves his sinful activities here with his money. But it is specially mentioned herein that by superior arrangement, Daivenasa Ditam, although the man leaves behind him his sinfully earned money, he carries the effect of it. When a man steals some money, if he is caught and agrees to return it, he is not freed from the criminal punishment. When a man steals some money, when a man steals some money, if he's caught and agrees to return it, he is not freed from the criminal punishment. By the law of state, even though he returns the money, he has to undergo the punishment. Similarly, the money earned by a criminal process may be left by the man when dying, but by superior arrangement, he carries with him the effect, and therefore he has to suffer hellish life. 3:33 केवलेन यधर्मेण कुटुम्बभरणोत्सुकाः याति जीवोन्धतामिस्रं चरमं तमसः पदम्. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andhatamishra. Three words in this verse are very significant. Kevalena means only by black methods. Adharmena means unrighteous or religious. And Kutumba Bharan means family maintenance. Maintaining one's family is certainly the duty of householder, but one should be eager to earn his livelihood by the prescribed method as stated in the scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, it is described that the Lord has divided the social system into four classification of castes or varnas according to quality and work. Apart from Bhagavad Gita, in every society, a man is known according to his quality and work. For example, when a man is constructing wooden furniture, he is called a carpenter, and a man who works with an anvil and iron is called a blacksmith. Similarly, a man who is engaged in the medical or engineering fields has a particular duty and designation. All these human activities have been divided by the Supreme Lord into four varnas, namely Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. In Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures, the specific duties of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are mentioned. Now, one should work honestly according to his qualification. One should not earn his livelihood unfairly by means of which he is not qualified. If a Brahmin who works as a priest so that he may enlighten his followers with the spiritual way of life is not qualified as a priest, if a Brahmin who works as a priest so that he may enlighten his followers with the spiritual way of life is not qualified as a priest, then he is cheating the public. One should not earn by such unfair means. The same is applicable to a Kshatriya or to a Vaishya. It is especially mentioned that the means of livelihood for those who are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness must be very fair and uncomplicated. Here it is mentioned that he who earns his livelihood by unfair means, Kevalena, is sent to the darkest hellish region. Otherwise, if one maintains his family by prescribed methods and honest means, there is no objection to one's being a family man. 3:34 अधस्तान्नर लोकस्य यावतीर्यात नादयः क्रमशः समानुक्रम्य पुनरत्राव्रजेच्छुचिः. Having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions and having passed in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus been purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on this earth. Having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions and having passed in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus been purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on the earth. Just as a prisoner who has undergone troublesome prison life is set free again, the person who has always engaged in impious and mischievous activities is put into hellish conditions. And when he has undergone different hellish lives, namely those of the lower animals like cats, dogs, and hogs, by the gradual process of evolution, he again comes back as a human being. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even though a person engaged in the practice of the yoga system may not finish perfectly and may fall down for some reason or the other, his next life as a human being is guaranteed. It is stated that such a person who has fallen from the path of yoga practice is given a chance in the next life to take birth in a very rich family or in a pious family. It is interpreted that rich family refers to a big mercantile family because generally people who engage in trades and mercantile business are very rich. One who, but here it is noteworthy that he will just be born in a mercantile family in a rich. That does not ensure he will do bhakti after getting such benefits of a big mercantile family and then the good contacts. One who is engaged in the process of self realization or connecting with the supreme absolute truth but fell short is allowed to take birth in such a rich family or in the family of pious Brahmins. Either way, he is guaranteed to appear in human society in his next life. It can be concluded that if someone is not willing to enter into hellish life, as in Tameshwara or Andatameshwara, he must take to the process of Krishna consciousness, which is the first class yoga system. Because even if Krishna consciousness, which is the first class yoga system, because even if one is unable to attain complete Krishna consciousness in this life, he is guaranteed to take to his next birth in a human family. He cannot be sent into a hellish condition. Krishna consciousness is the purest life and it protects all human beings from gliding to hell to take birth in a family of hogs or dogs. So this was about the description of Lord of adverse productive activities by Lord Kafi. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.